All right, guys, welcome to the AutoCAD Chapter 11 lecture. I am Mr. Dieter. Let's get started. Today, our objectives are to understand the strategies of grouping related geometry with layers, be able to create layers, be able to assign colors, line types, and line weights to layers, be able to control a layer's properties, be able to manipulate groups of layers, be able to set LT scale to adjust the scale of the line types globally, understand the concept of object properties, be able to change an object property with the ribbon dropdown, and be able to use the layers tools. All right, so let's talk about layers. These are layers. So layers are right here in CAD. And I've already created layers for this assignment. The arc, which is right there, the circle right there, the ellipse over here, the line right here, polyline is up here, and squares are right here. So those are the layers that I've already created for this. So for each layer, you can control its color on screen, the line type, and the line weight of it, and its visibility settings. You can control that layer, whether it is plotted or not. So let me show you what they're talking about. All right, so let's say here, this is our polyline layer. All right, you see it right here. Well, if I do this and freeze it, then that layer you can no longer see. It is still there, but you can't see it. Same thing with turning it off. The difference is if you freeze it, you can't do anything into it. You can't edit it. You can't do anything. But if you turn it off, it just becomes not visible anymore. So if I go to this instead, it's just not visible. Oh, well, it's the current layer. It doesn't like turning off current layers. So let's go back and turn it back on. All right, so that is how you turn on and off layers. When objects take on the color and line type assigned to the layer on which they are created, they are said to have a line type and color set by layer. So what does that mean? Okay, so if I switch to line right here, let me click on line. See line, it turns here by layer, line type by layer, line width by layer and line type by layer, as you can see right here on the screen. So if I were to change this to that color, 153.2730, you can see it no longer says by layer. So this line also, if you look at it on here, it is now a different color. But if I click on it, I can just go back to by layer, and then it is the correct color again. So that's how you switch colors in layers. And I'm trying to go quick so I don't do another 30-minute video. All right, for most drawings, layers are assigned as a color, line type, and line weight so that all other objects drawn on that layer have the same color, layer, and line weight. So for example, you see, let's go to circle. I have circle set as green. So now any other circle I draw, as long as I draw it on that circle command, it's going to be green, right? It's always going to come out green. Does that mean I can only draw circles on green? No, I can do arc and I can still draw another circle, but now it's on the wrong layer. So you guys can see how that kind of works. It'll be everything on that layer will be associated with that layer's line type, line width, and color. You can edit objects on other layers, but draw only on the current layer. Okay, so if I'm on polyline, right, I can still edit this. But if I do any kind of drawing, it's still on the polyline layer. Okay, but I can edit anything here. And if I do this, it doesn't even show a layer because I can edit all these layers at the same time. But my current layer is polyline. By the way, you can also lock a layer. And then I cannot select, I cannot move or do anything to that because it is locked. So if that ever happens to you and you can't move something you're trying to move, check and make sure that you didn't accidentally lock that layer because you cannot do anything to it while it is locked. All right. So any object created with draw commands are created on the current layer. You can, however, edit objects on any layer, but draw only in the current layer. So if an existing layer name is highlighted when you make a new layer in the properties palette, the new layer will have the highlighted layer's properties. Let's show what this means. So if I'm going to go here, let's bring up layer properties. So this is your layer properties. Oop, it came over on the other side. Hold on. Here we go. This is your layer properties. So here's all your properties for each layer. So right now it is on, let's put it on that one. If I were to go up here, and by the way, that is new layer. New layer is this one right here. You notice it came out blue, continuous default. So say, let's undo that real quick. Let's delete that layer. We don't really need that layer. I can change the line weight of it to like say 120. So now you see that's got a much thicker line weight. So if I do a new layer Now that new layer has that new line weight that the last one just had. All right. Let's get rid of those for now and close that box. Okay. The following features are true for layer 0, which layer 0 is the only layer that AutoCAD supplies in the default template AutoCAD.dwt. It cannot be deleted from the drawing, and its color and line type can be changed. So, for example, if I go up here and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to be using this layer 0. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say delete layer. It cannot be deleted. So layer 0 cannot be deleted, although I can go in here and say I want it to be cyan now, and now layer 0 is cyan. So you can change the color and line width and all that. You just cannot delete layer 0. Changing the color of a layer using the layer property managers affects all existing objects on that layer created with the bi-layer color. So that example, let's go up here and draw a few more circles again. All right, and now let's see, that's good enough. Let's go up here and say, all right, I'm going to go to my layers. I'm going to change circle to gray. Now you'll notice all the circles I drew on the circle layer have now turned gray, not just the most recent one or one that was highlighted. So if I change it back to cyan, they all go back to cyan. If you use the layer property manager to change the visibility, and again, we talked about that, right? Your layer property manager, just keep that open at this point, I would assume. Layer property manager, we'll put it over here. So if you turn the visibility, which is this right here, you can turn anything on and off. Turn your ellipse on and off, turn your squares on and off, right? If you turn them on and off, then proceed with editing the drawing. You can then change the layer visibility back to the previous state using the layer P command. So that is layer P, LAYERP, and that's what it does. Restored previous layer settings, or status, I'm sorry. So let's show you if I actually do it. Let's change it to gray again. So all your circles are gray. Then I do layer P. Now they're back to green. So that's just a quick way to turn it back if you decided you don't like it and you want to turn it back, is the layer P command. Picking a line type such as center or hidden from the line type manager does not assign the selected line type to the current layer. Good point. So if I just go over here and I say, all right, let's go to the line types, other load, because we don't have that in. Here's a dashed. So let's load the dashed line and say, all right, let's make that. You notice now I have it loaded in here, right? But did it make this? Did it make these dashed? It did not. I would have to go into the layer properties, go here, and then change that to the dashed line. And then it would change all of them to dashed, which the dashed line is way too large, so you can't really tell, but you can kind of see on some of these circles that it changed them to dashed lines. Okay, so everybody understand that? Even though you go and pick it, it does not change it if you just do it over here. You have to do it in the palette, in the line type palette, okay? Oh, excuse me. If necessary, it is recommended that the line type scale for individual objects be changed after drawing them by using the properties palette. So again, the properties palette, you can change line type scale, you can change everything you want. So again, you can change the scale, you can change what they look like, you can do all kind of stuff with your line types. Okay. I feel like I skipped something. I think I did. So to do that, I'll show you that real quick. So if you want a different line type or line weight, you can pick it all from right here up to super thick line type. They're load and it automatically comes up with this. And you've got all of these AutoCAD templates to choose from. Say if you're making batting, it's an S. That's a architectural thing. If you're making a gas line, you have one that already says gas, fence line circles, fence line squares, phantom lines, hot water supply, a zigzag line, like railroad tracks. It's got lines for everything, okay? So all these are ready for you, hidden, hidden 2, hidden 0.5, different sizes of hidden lines, dots, different sizes of dot line, dash dots, all this stuff. And remember, we learned about those in the first semester, about what all those mean. All those line types are here. You just have to load them under your select line type. So when you click on that, you'd have to load, and then you can load a different line type like your batting. And then I can see that, and now it changed those to batting, as you can see, which I obviously don't want to do, but it can do that by changing your line type. All right, let's talk about if we want to print stuff, let's talk about what we can do. So say I want to print this drawing. You go to the print palette. We are going to be using drawing to PDF in this class. For the most part, we aren't going to be printing anything out. So if I preview it, look at that. There they all are. There's everything I drew all in one drawing. The squares are missing. Why are the squares missing? Well, let's find out why the squares are missing. Do you see them here? No, I have turned them off. Okay, another thing to know. If you want to print this drawing, but these circles I just did, I don't care about them, right? I don't care about them at all. So what I'm going to do is take them, and I'm going to put them on the 0 layer. Okay, they're now on the 0 layer. They're still there. Now, if I go to the 0 layer on my properties palette and I say, hey, I don't want to print the 0 layer. So I can click on this. You notice now there's a little red line next to the print button. Now when I go to print, choose my drawing to PDF, apply to layout so I don't have to do that again, go to preview, you'll notice that those circles are now gone because I've said I don't want those circles to print. So when you plot, you can turn off individual things to plot. Okay, now it has to be on a layer. You can't just turn off an individual thing. The way to do that would be just to delete it if you really don't want to print it. But that's one way to do that as well. So that is a super quick lesson on how to use your layers panel. So again, right here, these are your layers. I've created these just for this. Created the colors. I guess I can show you how to create one. So say I want to do one for rectangle. So I'm going to go to the layers panel. I'm going to say new layer. I'm going to say rectangle, maybe. And let's see, I want that color to be, let's go maroon-ish. Okay, and I want the line to be batting. And I want the default line width to be 0.3. Okay, now, when I make a rectangle, first thing we have to do is put this on the rectangle layer. And I'll take a rectangle and I'll just draw it in here. And look at that. The default is that batting look. And you know what? That color is hard to see on the black background. So let's do this. Let's see. Let's do this ugly green. That's easier to see. Okay. So you notice it does the batting like I asked it to do. Now, if I want to change it, I can go ahead and change it here. Just by block, didn't do anything. I can change it into different things. Change it to dashed line. I have to actually be selecting it when I do that. Change it to by block, and now it's just a regular line. I can change it to your continuous, so I can do whatever I want to it. Change it to dashed line, which again is too small to show dashes, but anyway, you get the point. That's what you can do. So that's how you create and set up a brand new line type. We'll be doing some of this in this chapter in the exercises. Feel free to ask me any questions that you might have about that. Thank you guys very much, and we will see you in the next chapter.